Training for Your Body Type, we'll be discussing those of us that are really good at producing force, but not so great at relaxing.
Welcome to another episode of Training for Your Body Type. This week we're going to talk about the more force-producing body type, which is going to be the wider rib cage. And so kind of going back to the idea of sort of a wide versus a narrow glass of water, we have the same amount of fluid and pressure in the glass, but for the wider shape, it's going to be more spread out. We don't travel as much distance, so we concentrate the pressure more. That's going to enable us to produce a lot more force, but it's going to come at the expense of range of motion. So typically, for the person with the wider rib cage, you're going to be very good at using their pelvic floor, very good at squeezing and producing pressure, but not so good at letting go of pressure on the backside of their body. So what we're going to do is show you a couple moves and techniques to relax the body, to let go of tension, and to train the external obliques, which are going to help to open things up to close our wider rib cage. Stay tuned. So one of the things that we see in people that are better at producing force is just a lot of residual stiffness that they hold on to. So the first thing that we can do with the pelvis is teach our body to roll with slow, gentle movement to just let go of stiffness and tension. So in order to do that, the first thing I like to do is just use a foam roller on the side of my hip. And what that means is that I'm going to find the muscles all along the side here and just release them. And I'm just going to start with the roller on the side of my hip, right kind of at between the top of my pelvis and the top of my hip bone here. And so what I'm going to do is just kind of put my hand on the top, create a little bit of downward pressure, and just roll forward and back, just working on those side hip muscles, sort of breathing in as I go back and exhaling as I go forward. Just moving slowly, just working on letting go of tension in this area. Okay, so I can do that on both sides. And then I can follow that up with what I like to call a wide roll. Okay, what that means is that I'm going to teach this area to sort of roll better and move better just by kind of moving into it with my body. So I'm going to bring my other knee to 90 degrees. I'm going to breathe in, just exhale, and roll to this side. I inhale as I come back. I exhale and I just roll over the side. And I like to tell people it's kind of like a hot dog roller. I'm just working on sort of this gentle, slow rolling movement to help to kind of reduce stiffness here and kind of teach this area to reduce tension as I move along here.
So in order to compress one side of the rib cage, we're going to use a side plank. You're just going to put your forearm on the ground. We're going to have our bottom leg is going to be bent. So in this, it's really important to feel like your elbow and your hip are coming towards each other in order to create the maximum compression on this side. So I'm going to come up, and as I breathe, I just want to really feel elbow to hip, hip to elbow, and then expansion on the top. You're going to do this for several breaths on this side, and then you can repeat on the other side. This is especially good for those that have a dropped shoulder or feel compression more on one side or the other.
When it comes to strength training for the wide rib cage, our goal is to very much emphasize the stacked position, because as a wide myself, it's very easy for me to produce force by compressing from behind and pushing forward, not so easy for me to move well by sort of dissipating force and moving backwards. So we do a lot of training for this through single leg and single arm exercises, which are going to compress one side, expand the other side, and sort of maintain the ability to weight shift and move well. For our first exercise, I'm going to show you guys a lower body goblet split squat. So I'm going to get Steph on camera here. All right, I'm just going to kind of cue her. All right, she's going to come into a split stance. We're going to hold a weight in front of her. Okay, the weight's going to help to push her backwards. And what I want her to do is kind of get her tucked pelvis. We're going to inhale as Steph goes down, and then exhale as Steph goes up. Okay, focusing on maintaining her weight a little bit back in her heel, and then just exhaling as we come up at a slow, controlled tempo. For our next exercise, we're going to move to the retro step dumbbell row. Okay, so for retro step dumbbell row, we're going to have Steph come into a retro step position, which we're going to shift into one side and row. So I'm going to get you back on camera here, Steph. let's come into that retro step position. All right, let's find that heel. Okay, I'm gonna have you lean forward just a little bit more, but the emphasis is on Steph's heel as opposed to coming forward under her toes. Okay, I'm gonna have her reach forward with her arm. Okay, we're gonna inhale, filling up the back side of her body. We're gonna exhale as she pulls the dumbbell up towards my hand. Pause for 1 to 2 seconds. Let's come back down. Breathe in. And exhale. And then really the benefit of this exercise is that we can sort of fill the back side of the body with air. And then when we exhale and pull up, we can literally sort of move her back into this position. We really hope you enjoyed this week's episode. Just as a quick summary, the wide body type is going to be very good at producing force, generating compression. We want to work a little bit more on relaxation and letting go of tension through single leg, single arm exercises that help us to compress one side, open up the other side. But that doesn't mean that we don't want to train force as well. One of my favorite exercises to do that is the skeleton carry. As you can see, we didn't necessarily use Figaro much this week, but certainly Steph's been working on this for a while. So we want to thank you guys for tuning in, and we will see you next week.